This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
It's a beautiful thing. There he is. Ira is locked and loaded and ready to go. You're locked and loaded like Tyler Hero was last night, scoring like, what was it, like 14 straight points or something? The kid was muscular and on yesterday. That was good.
And 26 points in 26 minutes. I know, Big O, they tell us don't overstate preseason. It's just an exhibition game. I get all that. You know, Jimmy Butler didn't play. But you know what? What you look for in the preseason in any sport are those acorns, those little things that might translate. So if Tyler looks better and feels better and is playing better, that checks a box. Because we both agree Tyler has to be better than he was last season and closer to what he was in the playoff bubble. So you know what? After one exhibition game, 5 more left, I can check that little box and move on. Last night was very encouraging for the Heat. Looks like, unlike the Dolphins, the Heat won't be trading players early in the season. They like what they have. Now they have to make it work.
What I liked about it was, and I'm with you, I it's preseason, so I don't take it that serious. But like you just said, there are these little things. And what we want from Tyler, he's not going to start, right? He's going to come off the bench. What's he need to be off the bench? Instant offense.
Yes.
What was he last night? Instant offense. And I want him with that tude every single night. The attitude that I'm going to come in and I'm going to light you up and I'm going to make life easier for our team because I'm going to be that spark off the bench. That's what I liked about last night. That's what lifted me up about watching Tyler do his thing last night.
And again, that's the role, instant offense. And you know what? Part of that role is learning, like the others have, the Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford over the years. You might have a 1 of 10 also. But you have to be a threat. So much about the NBA now with our advanced metrics are about spacing, or about creating threats. As long as the opponents know you're on the floor and feel that you're on the floor, it will open it up for your teammates also. I think Tyler has the right attitude. Look, he said it perfectly. There was no offseason last year. It was like, hey, Rook, you had a great year. Now do it again, but only take 4 weeks off and then jump right back into it. Oh, and we'll throw COVID into the equation also. Right. All the players said it's so much more relaxed. There has been a real training camp. There will be 6 preseason games, many of the players will sit out. They can do this exhale before they have to do the 82-game inhale. That's good for the sport. It makes the sport better. It makes the players better. The Heat and the Lakers needed this offseason. I think you're going to see tangible results.
Tangible. Lowry, 15 minutes, 7 assists, 1 turnover. Again, this is what he's here for, right? He's the glue guy that brings everybody together as the point guard. And that's immediately I saw that last night too. And it's really nice to have a floor general, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kyle Lowry basically said, look, I ain't doing media during the preseason. It's only the preseason. It doesn't matter. His focus, his laser is getting in sync with his teammates, letting them know who he is, what their responsibilities will be. And you saw it, last night. I mean, 4 of his assists went for 3-pointers. 2 went for Bam Adebayo, alley-oop dunks, another for a driving layup. Keep moving. Get out there in transition. Play hard. Your hard work and running will pay off. That's what we saw. It's a real point guard mentality. But like Duncan Robinson said, this is not the dribble point guard like Rondo until he has that perfect pass. This is a guy, it's almost like volleyball. He just touches it and moves it on to the next person because he knows that, because he can think the game. Look, we all have concerns. The Heat signed a 35-year-old point guard to a 3-year contract that pays him through he's 38. You spoke about that on our Acura Pembroke Pines reports all through the summer. But if he's going to do it more mentally than physically, it gives you a chance. And Kyle Lowry's at a stage of his career where he's going to outthink you. He might not outquick you, outfast you, outrun you, but he's going to think the game. You know, the old, I know it's cliche, chess instead of checkers, but that's who he is. The Heat have not had a chess instead of checkers point guard in a while. Goran Dragic was offensive-minded. You almost go back to the Tim Hardaways and what they had before. In a way, this reminds me, I know this will sort of seem like a weird analogy, of a Jason Williams. When they won the title in 2006, he loved to move the ball. He made it interesting and exciting for his teammates. That was his whole shtick. I think you're going to see some of that of Kyle Lowry also on a championship level. Has to stay healthy, have to monitor his minutes. But again, just preseason, but encouraging preseason last night.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I love that he was able to kind of be that floor general right away, because you always worry about chemistry early on in the season, and you kind of get the feel that he already is getting pretty comfortable with his guys, and I thought that was important. Yesterday, the again, kind of what we were talking about with Tyler. Well, the Strus was loose last night, comes off the bench, goes 4 of 8 from 3-point range. That's kind of what I want to see from the Struces loose also. Hey, come off the bench, give us some offense, make life easier. And one of the things that maybe you can piggyback, make it a two-part question, that you get that offense, but part of Tyler's job and Struce's job and Bam's job and Duncan's job, you were just talking about how you want Lowry to be more mental throughout the year, right? Well, if you want to actually extend the careers of Lowry and Butler, and you want them as effective in years 2 and 3 and 4 of these deals, don't make them carry the offense throughout the year. Struce, Duncan, Tyler, Bam, do your part and make it easier on those guys. And that's what I saw yesterday with Struce and Tyler, making life easier maybe on the older
So
guys.
let's look at this rotation. We pretty much know Eric Spoelstra showed it in the scrimmage. If Jimmy played last night, we would have seen it. We kind of know the starting lineup looks like it's going to be everyone healthy. Bam Adebayo, PJ Tucker, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, and Kyle Lowry. So as I've said all along, my thought is your top 3 reserves, because of positional need, would be Tyler Hero, Dwayne Dedmon, and Markieff Morris. Now the question becomes, how do you fit Max Strus into that mix? You certainly can go 9 deep, and in the grueling NBA schedule, you very well might. But is he going to be a primary reserve, a specialist reserve, or, as I think he should, I think when Duncan Robinson's off the floor, Max Strus should be on the floor. You
I
need
agree.
that spacing. Yes, PJ Tucker can run to that corner all he wants, but he's a one-trick pony. It's only in that corner. Max Strus will hit three-pointers anywhere across the arc, just like Duncan Robinson does. So the Strus thing is worth watching, but I'm going to give you sort of a little opposite way of looking at it. The Strus thing is worth watching on the defensive end. We know he can make threes. We know he can contribute to that offense. But if he's going to be set up by opponents, and you're going to wind up again having to have Bam Adebayo step out, maybe get in foul trouble, create problems, that's another thing. So I would say to Heat fans is this: in the 5 remaining exhibitions, if you get a chance, whether you're at FTX Arena or whether you're watching the games on TV, keep an eye on Max Strus's defense. If he can at least be passable and acceptable, you're fine. Duncan Robinson's first year, he was horrible on defense. One scout said to me, he's nothing more than the modern-day Steve Novak. Such a specialist, you can't play him full-time. Then he came around. All you need guys like that to be is a serviceable defender. So now we have to see that with Max Strus. He has a physical body. We have to see if he can keep guys in front of him. Duncan Robinson spoke after last night's game saying, hey, one of my priorities, as much as bulking up, was working on my quickness and staying in front of my man. Let's see if Max Strus can do it. And you know what, if he can, that gives a Heat another chip to put into play, another chip to put into the lineup, and you to sit there and go, just another case of everyone, Pat Riley's traded all his draft picks. No, he finds guys. He found Duncan Robinson. It looks like he found Max Strus, maybe found Gabe Vincent. That's the difference. You can have all your draft choices in Atlanta. You could roll out your 35 first-round picks. Doesn't matter where you get the players. It matters what the players do.
I'm with you there. By the way, you mentioned PJ Tucker growing. What happened yesterday? What do you know?
And that's the thing. You signed a 36-year-old player, you're going to deal with this kind of stuff. And that's my concern, is power forward. Because if PJ Tucker doesn't start, I'd assume you go Markieff Morris, but I'm not exactly sold that that's necessarily an answer. So this Heat team, to me, still have 2 voids. We've spoken about it here on Acura Pembroke Pines Reports. We speak about it Wednesday in Pallet Rack City inside the paint with Clay Ferraro. I think backup point guard and backup power forward, true power forward, still are voids. You can make trades. You can wait to the buyout deadline. But I think there are going to be moments, for example, when they say PJ Tucker's not available. Okay, you're moving Markieff Morris up in the rotation, but then what? there really aren't other names in this lineup, in this rotation right now on this roster that really fill right there. So again, every team has holes. There's not a perfect team. Even the Nets aren't a perfect team. Milwaukee might be closer to well-rounded. This is what you have to work through, see what Eric Spoelstra does with his rotations.
Last night, I'm sure he played because Butler was out, but the Caleb Martin kid actually did a nice little job yesterday. I thought he was
I'm
a
glad you pointed.
solid all-around game.
I am glad you pointed that out, and I wish I had a chance to talk to him after the game. I was sort of scurrying to get the other three players there. Then Kyle wasn't going to talk. Sort of got lost in the sauce a little. But yeah, Caleb Martin looked very good. And this is a guy who took a 5-stitch gash to his head in the first half and said, yeah, I'm going back even though it's a preseason exhibition. I know what's at stake. Again, at some point in the year, the Heat have an empty roster spot. They can convert that to a standard contract. But even if not, Big O, unlike the previous two-way contracts, right now, you can appear and be on the active roster for 50 of the 82 games. So I'm not so sure that Caleb Martin, even on a two-way contract, ever sees Sioux Falls, South Dakota this season. I think the Heat pick and choose. I think they leave him here. There's no need for seasoning. He's 26 years old. He's seeing it. Marcus Garrett, yes, you send him up there. You tell him, hey, learn how to play offense. I think Caleb Martin's going to be a factor in the rotation when you are load managing, when you are resting players, when you have injuries. And that's what I liked about that pickup. That instead of saying we're going to get another developmental guy and see what happens 3 years, 4 years down the road, they said, who can help us right now? I think Caleb Martin will help you win maybe 1 or 2 games this season. And for a team in the middle of the pack of the East playoff race, that can be important. That can be significant down the road.
No, I was impressed with the kid. I like what I saw, and in a way, I was glad Butler didn't play because obviously he got some of his minutes, and I was like, okay, I'm glad because I don't need to see Jimmy Butler right now. You know, rest his ass. You need him for the regular season. So I was happy to see him. Your thoughts on Bam? How he played last night?
You know, most of his shots were dunks. I like that he opened the scoring with a little fadeaway mid-range jumper, showed confidence in that. That'll come a little more. We're all trying to make Bam what we want him to be, the mid-range shooter, the three-point shooter. But you know what, if in the flow of the offense that's not there, I also don't want him forcing it. I don't need him to be Kelly Olynyk or Myers Leonard posting himself out in the corner, out in the parking lot. If it happens organically, if they need to space and he could do that, that's fine. So I know people are speaking about Bam Adebayo, more three-point shots. I think that's more a case of the flow of the offense than necessarily his desire. I want him to compete. I want him to rebound. I want him to defend. And one subtle little thing last night, if you watched, not as much switching. They didn't have Bam running around with his head cut off all over the court, guarding 1 through 5. It's a
they
nice
have more defenders
concept.
now.
But they have more people like Kyle Lowry can play a little drop coverage on Trae Young, can work around that a little bit more. And that's the difference also. The more pure defenders you have, the less Bam has to do. And then he can concentrate on the main things.
And the beauty is Bam's not Whiteside. So he's not immature and they're not going to try to force things.
Yes.
He's always going to be, he's more mature than I am, and I'm 55. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, no, you remember after those games, Hassan, all he wanted to do was see the stat sheet and would always give you his one number. I was plus 12. I had this many rebounds or whatever. That's not who Bam is. Bam, yes, Bam before his season sets a target on assist points and rebounds just to give himself something to work toward, not for something that he's going to every single night look at it that way. He'll be glad to let Jimmy get his. He'll be glad to let Kyle get his. And I'm still waiting, and maybe now with PJ Tucker with the groin injury, will Spo ever at least once this preseason go big at the start of a game? I would like to see that. Maybe in Houston on Thursday night. Maybe start Deadman.
You're saving, bro. It's up to you. Is it you're saving or
Yurtsevin.
Yurtsevin. I think it's up to him.
Right.
It's up to him.
And maybe try that.
Once he earns Spo's trust.
Yeah, I can see that down the road. But even short term, I'm wondering if Dwayne Dedmon maybe just play him alongside Bam, if only to get him consistent minutes. So if PJ can't start, the natural thing would be, like I said, to start Markieff Morris instead. But maybe you go in a direction with a Dedmon or Big just to see how this big thing sort of works out. Try to get Houston, maybe San Antonio. You still have time before that October 21st regular season start of the season against the Bucks.
That's right. And Thursday, they are in Houston.
10 o'clock start. Yeah,
10 p.m.
ESPN.
game on the Deuce. Yes,
Yeah,
I know.
it's just interesting how TV dictates everything. So this Thursday, they have a 10 p.m. game, second part of a doubleheader. A week from Friday, they're playing Boston at home on a 6:30 start because ESPN has a 9 p.m. college football game. So look, we know one thing: TV dictates everything. And in the Heat's case, certainly in the preseason, who cares anyway? I'm all for 6:30. I'm not so all for 10 o'clock at night Thursday. I mean, that's when you will see who your diehards are. Those who aren't watching Thursday night football, those who are getting sleep instead, those who are going to stay up past midnight to watch preseason football. That's sort of an illness there. I think it's going to
Those of us that have earned the bags from
exactly.
all the
Yeah,
years.
I think the 8 p.m. cafecito might be required.
Yes, I'm probably going to need that. There's no doubt about it. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. And, of course, you can catch him here twice a week with our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, but forgot to ask you. Wiggins gave into the pressure, apparently.
Oh my
So,
God. And people, please don't read those quotes. I mean, he was mentioning he had to
know
be careful. He didn't want to get cancer from the shot. It's like, wait a minute. 1 week ago, he was asking for a religious exception. And you know what? Some people deserve that. There are some people, whether it's Christian scientists or other beliefs, I can understand that I fall in line.
right.
But all of a
That's
sudden,
fine.
you mentioned missed paychecks and he's giving other reasons. And man, that's the kind of stuff that scares the crap out of you about our country right now. I know you need your platforms, Big O, because social media is a big part of what you're doing. But I think Facebook could stay down for a few more hours and we'd all be better off. We'll post your stuff on Twitter anyway and do it that way and on YouTube because some of this stuff, I mean, that reasoning, and now all eyes turn to Kyrie Irving. The Nets return home to practice in Brooklyn. Can he be at the workplace or not? What's going to happen there? You spoke to me about this when we started doing these Acura Pembroke Pines reports right before the start of training camp. And you just said it's always about Kyrie. It always comes back to him. You know, look, Ben Simmons is a distraction by choice. I get that. He's sitting out. He's not reporting to training camp. But Kyrie plays the middle game. He says, I'm not being a distraction, but he is a distraction. I'm really curious to see how that plays out.
He's a distraction that holds in.
Yeah.
Like they do in football, that they don't hold out, they hold in now in football. You know that's what he is. He's a hold-in distraction instead of Simmons being a holdout distraction.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how that plays out, Big O.
I'm not that I will get into it, but did you see that Facebook whistleblower that came out? Wow, I don't know if you saw it.
I was concentrating a little on Urban Meyer, but yes, I did catch some of that as well.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Good stuff. As always, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Catch his work at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Make sure you subscribe, folks, to the South Florida Sun Sentinel.
Please.
Not just Ira, but all the great writers that are on that paper. In fact, David Furones is going to join us at noon. So come on, man. We got a lot of great writers over there. So support them at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. And, of course, you can catch Ira tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with our Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint show with Mr. Clay Ferrara. What do you got on tap for tomorrow?
Well, I want to talk a little bit more about Kyle Lowry. Just posted a story at sunsentinel.com. Also, the NBA general manager survey just came out a few minutes ago. General managers voted Eric Spoelstra as the best coach in the game. Kyle Lowry is the best offseason individual acquisition. The Heat is having the Heat's best offseason. So we'll break that down a little more tomorrow with Clay Ferrara on our Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint report.
Well, and hey, our winter teams are getting a lot of respect, right? The Heat and the Panthers, man, right? Those are the best teams in town right now. That is the best teams in town. Ira, thank you as always, my brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You got it. There you go. The great Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA report.